Hello everyone, welcome to the course Computer Networks. This is S. Parvathi, Assistant Professor, Department of CSIT, MLR Institute of Technology. In today's session, we are going to discussing about three-way handshaking and remote procedure call in transport layer. In previous session, already we discussed about what is transport layer, and next we discussed the introduction part of transport layer, and next we discussed the different services that are provided by the transport layer, and next the different elements of transfer protocol and simple transfer protocol. These topics already we covered in previous sessions regarding transport layer. Now we will moving on to the next one, that is the three-way handshaking and remote procedure call in transport layer. First let us see three-way handshaking in transport layer, how it is going to be happen. So the three-way handshaking means the three ways. So it is a process mainly used in TCP. The process of three-way handshaking mainly used by TCP. Mainly it is for establishing a reliable connection. To establish the reliable connection in between the client and server, we are going to use this three-way handshaking method. That is also before the data transfer is going to be beginning. So here the client and server, these two are there. To establishing the connection in between these two, before transferring the data, we are going to use three-way handshaking method. Three-way handshaking mainly used before transferring the data. We are going to use this method mainly for establishing the reliable connection between the client and server. We are going to use. Why this three-way handshaking is needed in TCP? The reasons are to ensure the both sender and receiver are ready. Means the sender and receiver both are going to be ready for sending or receiving the data. That is the main work of the three-way handshaking method. At the same time, to synchronize the sequence number. So here the sender is sending the data, the receiver is receiving the data. The synchronization of the data in the sequence numbers also matters here. That is also important in the when you are sending and receiving the data. That is also used by three-way handshaking method. And the next one is to establish a reliable connection. First of all, means whatever data is sending from the sender to the receiver, that data should be reliable and reliable connection also. That is also important, and that should be full duplex connection. What is full duplex here? So duplex is one is half duplex is there, and the next one is full duplex is there. So these are the two types of connections. Half duplex is mainly talking about the two-way communication. The communication is in two ways only. In between sender and receiver, the connection is in two-way communication only. The direction is only one direction. That may be sender side or receiver side. So the two-way communication, but the direction is only direction. This is the one direction. This is nothing but half duplex. Whether the first sender is sending the data, that time receiver is nothing send, the receiver nothing will receive. After sending total data, after the sender stops, the receiver work is going to be started. Means the two-way communication, but after completing one, next one will be reacted. That is the half duplex work. And coming to full duplex, what is full duplex here? Full duplex means the both directions, two directions are there. One is the sending direction, this is the sending direction, this is the receiving direction. So two-way communication at the same time, both directions. That is full duplex. Here the TCP using the full duplex connection means two-way communication at the same time, two directions. Sending direction is there, receiving direction also there. And half duplex only having the one direction, that may be sender direction or receiving direction, but two-way communication, that is half duplex. So here in three-way handshaking, we are going to be use full duplex connection, that is both directions, but at the same time two-way communication. This is about three-way handshaking and how this is going to be working. How the client and server is going to be connected using three-way handshaking method, we will see now. See, so here client is there, server is there. So it is having only three steps. Here it is three steps of three-way handshake. Three-way means it is having three steps. The first step is synchronization. SYN is nothing but synchronization, that is from client to server. From the client to server, this is nothing but synchronization, that is SYN. Client is sending some synchronization, means client is asking to the servers, I need to connect with you, like he is sending some message, synchronization. I need to connect with the server. That is the synchronization. And the next one, here the client sends a synchronization of the packet to the receiver, means server, and contains the client's initial sequence number. Whenever this sending from the client to server, it is having client initial sequence number. That is the first step of three-way handshaking. Client is sending some message to the server. That is the synchronization message. That is the first one. And the next one is synchronization plus ACK. So here server is received some synchronization message that is from the client. Whatever client is sent, that message is received by server, that is synchronization message. Next, the receiver sends some synchronization message along with the ACK. Yes, I received your message, your connection request. I am also sending some synchronization. I need to also connect to you. That is also synchronization with the acknowledgement he is sending. So here it is sending the synchronization message as well as it's sending the acknowledgement also. That is the server is sending to the client. That is received by the client. Next one is, here it is server respond with the synchronization plus ACK. First one, it will respond with the synchronization and ACK. ACK acknowledge the client synchronization. So here is server is asking to the client. So synchronization with the client. Next one, synchronization contains server sequence number. Here it is having initial sequence number. Here this synchronization is having server sequence number. That is the second step in the three-way handshaking method. First one is client is sending some request to the server. That is the synchronization. And the next one, server is sending some synchronization plus acknowledgement. That is server to the client. That is the second step in the three-way handshaking. And the final one is the acknowledgement. That is also from client to server. So client sends some ACK to the server. So it is acknowledging the server synchronization. So here also client is sending some acknowledgement. Yes, I also received your request. So I am also accepted your connection. So like he is giving some acknowledgement to the server. That is acknowledging the server's synchronization. And finally, the TCP connection is going to be successfully established. And then after the successful completion of connection establishment only, we are going to sending the data from the sender to the receiver. That is the process in TCP protocol. When I want to transfer the data from sender to the receiver using TCP protocol, first I need to go for the three-way handshaking connection. After the successful connection only, it will send the data from the sender to the receiver. That is the work of the three-way handshaking method. So this is the total process of three-way handshaking method in TCP protocol. And next one is the remote procedure protocol. What is remote procedure protocol? Here in the name only it is there, remote login. So it is a communication mechanism. Mainly it is talking about, it allows a program to call a procedure on other computer. That is nothing but remote system. It calling a procedure on the another system, another remote system, as if it were a local functional call. So it works in the another computer, is called as remote procedure call. So here the programmer does not need to worry about the network details. So here there is no matter about the network, means in which network sender is sending the data, by using which network receiver is receiving the data, that does not matter in this remote procedure port. So mainly it is talking about the remote procedure call. The need of the remote procedure call is, it is simplifying the distributed programming, and next it hiding the network communication details. So here already we discussed the sender, which network the sender is using, the receiver which network is using. We are not going to talking about this in this remote procedure call. Means here it is hiding the network communication details, and it also makes the connection client server interaction easily. The client and server, the interaction is going to be using this RPC, and mainly it supports the modular and distributed systems. So these are the need of the remote procedure protocol, and how this diagram is going to be work for remote procedure call, we will see now. The first one, here totally it is having 6 steps. The 6 steps, how it is going to be happen in this diagram, we will see one by one. First one, here is the client. The client calls a procedure. First one, here it is, this is client CPU, here it is server CPU. First one is the client. Client calling the procedure. So here the client calls a function normally. It is calling a function. So it calls the client stub. This client, this shaded one, here it is there, stubs are going to be shaded. The shaded part, this shaded part, whatever this shaded part, this is the client stub. Here it is the server stub. The shaded part is going to be the server stub. So here client is calling the client stub. So next one, the work of client calls procedure is just client calling the procedure using the client stub. That is okay. And the next one is the client stub. What is the work of client stub? If from client to client stub, it is there. The procedure is in client stub now. So next one, the client stub packs the parameters into a message. Whatever parameters are there, that are going to be packing that into the form of message. And it will send a request to the server over a network. And also it will send a request to the server over a network. So packing of the parameters we are going to call as a marshalling. Here the client stub work is packing of the parameters. Packing of the parameters we are going to call as marshalling. So next one is the kernel is sending the message from the client machine to the server machine. Here it is the 3, whatever 3 is there, that is the kernel. Kernel is nothing but the operating system. Here is this one is the client kernel. This is the server kernel. This operating system is nothing but kernel. So mainly it is for sending the message client machine to the server message. So first one is the client, second one is the client stub, and the third one is the client sending the message. And next one is server stub. Here now from client side to it is coming to the server side. Again server stub is nothing but it receives the request. Whatever sender client is sending the request, that is received by the server, receives the request. Here whatever packing parameters are here, that is going to be unpacked here. Unpacking the parameters. Unpacking the parameters we are going to call as unmarshalling. And the next one is the call actual server procedure. So here server stub work is, here is the server stub. Whatever packing parameters that are going to be unpacking here, that is called as the unmarshalling, and next it is moving to the server, actual server procedure it is going to be moved. And next the server work, here is the server. The server is executing the procedure. Whatever procedure sent by the client, that is going to be executed by the server, and procedure runs on a server machine. Next the result again sent back. The whatever result is there after procedure, again it is received by the client. So that is the client receives the result. Means client stub receives the result. The client first received by the client stub, then again it is goes to the client. In which way we are sending the request, and that way again it will received by the client. That is the total procedure of the remote procedure call, step by step, that is mainly for sending and receiving the request. So this is about remote procedure call, and in this session we discussed about the three-way handshaking, how the three-way handshaking is going to be work like three-way handshaking, client server. First is client is send some synchronization message for connecting with the server, and again the server is sending the synchronization plus with some acknowledgement he is sending, and finally the client also again sending some acknowledgement to the receiver. That is called as three-way handshaking in TCP protocol. And the remote procedure call, the remote login, that is called as the remote procedure call. These two topics we discussed in today's session. Thank you.